Well, it's Tuesday, April 9th, day 10. My aunt dropped me off at about 10:20 to start walking from Warner Springs again. I would just like to give a huge shout out to Aunt Debbie. Just a massive help for me, giving me a place to stay and rides, spoiling me rotten on great food the whole time I was there. So thank you very much, Debbie. I really appreciate everything. It's day 11. I made it about 17 and a half miles to a place called Mike's Place, where I spent last night. And I thought it was just going to be a water tank where you can refill your water and just the places to set up your tent. Turned out that there's a guy that lives there and has a wood-fired pizza oven, and he was just making homemade pizzas for people last night, because there's probably 20 or so hikers camp there. And it's actually a really good pizza. It was the best homemade pizza I've ever had, and it was among the best pizza period I've ever had. So that was kind of a nice surprise. But so I actually got going at 6:50 this morning, which is the earliest I've started. And I've made it about 3 miles so far and just stopped for a quick break. But here, pretty good view of Mount San Jacinto with all the snow. So I'll be there in just a few days. Day 12, I made it a little over 18 miles yesterday to get to a place called Mary's Place, which is basically this lady that owns some private property right next to the trail. And she has picnic tables, a pit toilet, a water tank that she refills. There's a little post library there where you can take a book or leave a book. Just a bunch of stuff like that there. You can camp there. And then when I was making supper there last night, there was about 10 of us that were camped there. But Mary, she dropped by when she was walking her dog and dropped off a box of strawberries for everybody to share. So right now, we've got 2 or 3 miles already today here. And in another, I think 3 or 4, there's a little cafe that's about a mile off the trail. So I'm going to stop there. It's supposed to have really good burgers, so I should be there around lunchtime. And then basically try and get maybe 7 miles or so after that. So I got the thought in my head yesterday while I was walking that I might try to skip the town of Idlewild and just head straight to Big Bear, which from where I started this morning at Mary's Place is about 120 miles. And I counted my food out, and I've got 14,000 calories with me at this point still. Plus, I'll stop for lunch at that cafe. So, if I can make it in 8 days, I should be okay. I'll get into town pretty hungry, but I have plenty of excess body fat at this point to lose anyway still, so it should be okay. But it'll be a challenge for sure, because there's also some of the biggest elevation gains and losses on the trail coming up here as well in that section. I think at one point it goes from 1,000 feet to 9,000 feet in one continuous climb, and then there's descents that are the same amount, which really take almost a bigger toll on your body than the ascents do. But just rounded a corner. Not sure what mountain that is, but there's a bunch of snow on it. So I just looked at my map, and that is definitely Mount San Jacinto. So that'll be the next few days of my life spent trying to conquer that. And I don't think this really shows all of it. I think there's quite a bit more behind where I'm able to see right now. I almost stepped right on this guy. There's the Paradise Valley Cafe. It's about a mile off trail, so I've just been following these power lines to get there. A couple miles back, I passed a couple day hikers. They gave me an orange. So it was a nice little energy boost to get here. And now I'm going to have myself a nice juicy cheeseburger. Well, I got a good meal at the cafe. A giant 1-pound burger and fries. And it's feeling like a bowling ball weighing me down right now. I've gone about 3 miles or so since then. And just filled up at this little pool. I think it's like a seasonal stream that just has this little pool right next to the trail. And it's the last on-trail water for 22 miles. Like there's a couple sources that are a ways off trail, but then you're doing quite a bit of extra hiking. So it's filled up. We've got about 5.5 liters. So I'm hoping that's enough to get me to that next source. And this is my home for the night, right off the trail. Definitely not an ideal spot as far as being level, but there weren't very many options around this mileage. And my body was ready to stop for the day. So you just gotta make do. Just working on getting closer to San Jacinto all day today. Getting higher and higher in elevation. Lots of climbing today, very tiring. There's Mount San Jacinto. I'm getting closer. Really nice viewpoint here. A big lake down there, I'm not sure what it is. Mount San Jacinto, as I keep getting closer and closer. And down to the right, kind of behind this boulder right now, but the desert out there, and I think Palm Springs is over there. And I've just kind of been walking through this burned out area with a lot of trees covering the trail. This is kind of pretty typical of what I'm walking through right now. I'm kind of in this burned out area. This section of the trail was actually closed for 5 years, up until a few months ago, because there was so much damage to the trail from the fires and so many trees blocking the trail. And it's open now, but there's still just a lot of trees and stuff covering it. It's like there you got to go over this log and under that big one, and Mount San Jacinto up there, Palm Springs down there. First snow on the trail. Small patch. I'm probably going to try and melt some snow tonight. I've still been rationing my water, the stuff that I got yesterday, and I am extremely dehydrated. I'm so thirsty. Phenomenal views climbing this, but today is just kicking my butt. Lots of elevation climb. There's the trail. Palm Springs in the desert. You can see for a long ways. Mount San Jacinto is behind that. And there's a big valley with a big lake way out there. And the other lake I saw earlier. Really pretty here. I made it to, I think they call it Apache Ridge, where it's basically the first time that you really need micro spikes and potentially an ice axe right now on the trail. And so I'm just going to stop and take a break, get my micro spikes on and my ice axe out. I definitely see why people were talking about it. It definitely looks pretty legit. I doubt the camera's going to really show it, but it's really steep and you're really at an angle on this snow. And if you slip and fall, it's a very sharp drop off. So I'm going to get good and rested and then go for it. Well, I survived that snow section. Not gonna lie, it's actually a little freaky. I know some people have done it this year already without even micro spikes. That would be scary. It's scary enough with micro spikes and an ice axe. Although it was my first time ever using the ice axe, so not sure 100% I was doing it right, but every step just very slow and deliberate. Had the trekking pole on the downslope side of me and the ice axe on the uphill side, and there were some sections there where I would look back and the snow slope was a legit 45 degrees, and if you fall, you're sliding for quite a ways into some nasty looking stuff. I could see some slide marks from other people that have slid, so I didn't want to risk pulling my phone out just to take a picture and end up joining them. But I think about 2 miles yet to where I'm going to camp for the night, and then it's all downhill too, thankfully. I just cannot get over how rugged these mountains are. There's no way it's going to show up on camera. I thought Southern California was going to be a cakewalk, other than having to carry water long distances. But these are legit mountains, no doubt about it. Day 14. I made it 11 miles yesterday, and that was just all I could manage. Feeling pretty sluggish today again, but just ran into another unexpected patch of snow for this point in the trail, but with kind of this high angle, probably about 45 degrees again. It's a short patch at least, but I just stopped to put my micro spikes on. Nice sunny day. Beautiful view up here. Lakes off in the distance. Another one. That's where I came from, is those rugged little peaks. And off that way is the Salton Sea and Palm Springs. I found some water a little ways back on the trail, so I took a nice 2-hour break, drank up, and now I'm just going along again. But there's been a lot more of these snow crossings that aren't super long, but very steep. And if you slide, you're going down quite a ways. Long ways. Another little one here. They are not fun. I can't ever see myself getting into mountaineering. Just came across a pretty sketchy looking snow crossing here. I'm getting my micro spikes and ice axe for this one. Lots of snow travel now. Oop, I just slipped a little bit. But I'm definitely up higher, because I can see the peak of the mountain. But at least here, it's not as steep, so if you fall, it's not that big of a deal. But it's challenging. The last couple miles were all snow. I just made it to a spot that has some dirt. So this is where I'm going to set up for the night. It's only about 4 o'clock right now. But I only did about 6 miles today, so it'll be kind of a good rest day for my legs too. But then from here, for the next 14 miles, is basically 90% snow coverage on the trail, I guess. So I'm starting to debate whether I want to bail out tomorrow and head into Idlewild and skip a lot of it. But I'm just not sure yet. Really good view of Mount San Jacinto here. Very snowy. Day 15. I camped last night. It was about 8,300 feet, I think. I've gone a few miles today so far. And it was pretty much all snow. And it was much better than what the first couple days in snow was. It wasn't like really sketchy sections like the first stuff that I encountered. So it wasn't bad at all. So I decided to skip Idlewild. I already passed the point where you would get off trail to go down there. And now I just stopped to take a quick lunch break. But I'm heading up a 1,000-foot ascent right now to get up to, I think it goes to about 9,100 feet. And then back down 1,000, and then I'll have to decide if I want to stay there where I know that there's not snow coverage, or if I want to push on and go to Fuller Ridge yet today, which is another pretty sketchy part apparently, and I think that's in maybe 10 miles or so, which I could make today, but we'll see. The snow conditions definitely get worse as the day goes on. I got an early start today, and even by 8 o'clock it was already really slushy. And when it's slushy, you just start sliding. And if you're on a slope, if you start sliding, that's obviously a bad thing, so you can go for a tumble. But we'll see. I'll make it to where that next campsite is and decide from there. I'm getting higher. Just traveling through the snow. This is basically the trail. You just have to kind of follow the footsteps, but sometimes they go off in random directions, so I've actually gotten lost a couple times already today. It's not obvious where to go. I think I'm around 9,100 feet right now, and it's just an absolutely gorgeous view here. You can see forever. And I'm out of the snow for now. Water source with a view. day 16. I got kind of a later start than I wanted to this morning. Slept terribly last night, so I decided to sleep in instead of going when I'm tired. But I'm just working on climbing I think 900 or 1,000 feet, and then it's going to be mostly downhill for 20 miles or so after that. But just kind of patchy snow in here, so it's not bad yet. When I get to Fuller Ridge, I think it's going to be a little bit worse. But well, I'm in quite a bit of snow again, but it's not steep here, so it's just an inconvenience rather than dangerous or anything. But still climbing uphill. Got a couple more miles to go, I think. I was just thinking to myself how surreal it is that I'm now walking in the snow that I've been seeing from the trail for well over a week, ever since like Mount Laguna back there, that I've been seeing this mountain and the snow on it. And now I'm in it. I just stopped to get my micro spikes on. It's starting to get a little steeper of side hills with a little narrower of paths. So it's worth it to get them on at this point, I think. Crossing a snow bridge. A sign for Fuller Ridge Trail, buried under snow. This isn't it yet. It's a ways to go yet, I think. An absolutely gorgeous view here. I can see forever. Tons of mountains off in the distance. I can't really... Oh, there we go. Some way out there, snow covered. Over here, bunch more snow covered. Gorgeous, gorgeous day. Pretty much no wind. This is the trail. It's really tricky. You're just going through these up and downs, through these bushes things that keep trying to trip you. It's really uneven, but it is what it is. My last water source for a while. So, just getting some water filtered. I just found the limit of lucky trekking poles. Got a nice little bend there. I ended up off track, or off the trail. So there's a bunch of pink flagging ribbon that looked like it was marking it. So I was following that, and then ended up realizing it wasn't the trail, and I couldn't really go back the way I came. And so I tried going down this little snow field and ended up slipping and falling maybe 20 or 30 feet, but tried to catch myself with my pole. Well, I made it through Fuller Ridge. I did about the first half by myself, and then I ended up running into a couple guys that I joined up with for the rest of it. And I'm glad I did, because that was sketchy. There was a lot of really scary moments there with some of those snow traverses and stuff, and slipping and sliding, and it ended up taking way longer than any of us thought. And so the snow is just super slushy by the end of it, which is just really tough to walk through on angled snow like that. But we made it, and I think I'm pretty much out of the snow for now. Might hit more around Big Bear, but so now it's actually kind of just an ideal trail as far as I'm concerned. Just walking through the pines, not rocky, nice smooth trail. It's easy on the feet. Smells great with all the pines. So way down there is Interstate 10, where I'm hiking to right now. I won't make it there today. And then I'm pretty sure that's Big Bear, that mountain, where I will be hiking to next. Kind of hazy now. Can't really see as far as you would otherwise. Here's a little better view. Big Bear there. Interstate down there. There's the Cabazon Hotel Casino. And In-N-Out Burger is somewhere right there too. About 7 miles off trail. And so I plan on hitchhiking there and getting myself a burger whenever I get there. But I gotta walk all the way down to the interstate and all the way back up the mountain. Well, here's Mount San Jacinto. And just came up and over that. That's Fuller Ridge with all the snow. That whole thing actually was about, I think, 7 miles long or so with the snow. Day 17, just after 7. I just got started for the day. Pretty cold morning. You can see that I'm kind of above the clouds over here. There's a big giant wind farm down there. And back up this way is Mount San Jacinto. And it looks really cold up there. So I ended up descending a couple thousand feet last night already, but I think I still have like 5 or 6,000 feet to still descend today to get down to the interstate. And then I'm gonna probably try and get to a hotel room for the night. I think it's been 8 days on trail since I've slept in a real bed, so I've earned a break. Mile 200 of the PCT. And I am back down in the desert stuff. Mount San Jacinto way up there. I'm currently in Banning, California. I made it about 15 miles this morning to get to Interstate 10. And when I got there, the trail crosses underneath the bridge, underneath the interstate. And there was quite a bit of trail magic going on there. It was a hiker's birthday, and so her mom was there with hot dogs, birthday cake, all kinds of fresh fruit, pop, just a bunch of other food. And so she just encouraging you to take as much as you could eat, basically. And then there was another trail angel there too that goes by the name of Mama Bear. And so she had a bunch of chairs and stuff there too, and I think they maybe coordinated on a lot of the food. But then she gave myself and 2 other hikers a ride to Cabazon because they had to get some resupplies. And then when we were in Cabazon, she was going to drop me off, and I was going to take an Uber to get to Banning, where I'm currently in a hotel. And we ended up running into another hiker while we were there, so he was also on his way to Banning. So I ended up just splitting the Uber with him because we were both going to the same part of town. So ended up only costing me $5 to get here from the trail. But it's just unbelievable how stuff like that works out, and just one good thing turns into another good thing. But that's just how it seems to go out here sometimes. But I'll probably just take a nice break tomorrow. Probably only do like 10 miles at the most tomorrow, because it's now going to be all uphill once again to get back over 8,000 feet on the way to Big Bear, California. But yeah, just going to take a nice break tonight, get showered and cleaned up, and hit the trail again tomorrow afternoon.